Cindy's okay. All right, good evening all. Welcome to a special town board meeting, public hearing on Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. Please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilman Niles.
Here.
Councilman Hanlon.
Here.
Supervisor Merlino.
Here. Now, for the people that are out in, okay.
This one.
Just for the people out in Zoom world, you're not going to be able to see us, but you're going to be able to see the presentation. And if you can, we'll give you a few seconds to get a pad so you can take some notes to make comments. And then we'll take the screen off and we'll put you up on the screen and we'll be able to have you raise your hand and we can take comments from you. So be patient with us. We're trying to get this so we can get it done and everybody can see it. All right, Tom, you're on.
Okay, what this is a proposal to align the zoning that we have already here in Lake Luzerne in the area of Lake Benar with the park agency zoning. So what we're first going to talk about is what our zoning is in Lake Luzerne, and then we'll go to the park agency zoning. Now, the park agency uses the term land use as zoning. So where you see the term land use, it equals zoning from the park agency standpoint. Park agency came down, took a look at what we have here, made a suggestion, and so we'll talk about that and then the importance of doing a zoning change and what the town procedure is. So next slide in. What is that? Chris, what's that? Okay, so Lake Luzerne is identified as a secondary hamlet. Excuse me, Lake Benar is identified as a secondary hamlet of Lake Luzerne. Now, the comprehensive plan, the zoning ordinance, the zoning maps, they all indicate that Lake Benar is a residential resort area, is zoned for one dwelling per acre. And the town has this right. The zoning fits the area's environment and it fits the current use. Next slide in. What we're going to do is show you here a map that's in the comprehensive plan. And if you look at the red line going through the map, that's Route 9N. The Lake Benar area actually has three lakes, Lake Benar, Lake Forest, and Lake Allure. And 9N bisects those lakes. Now, all the area that looks like it's yellow, but it's actually light green, that's what the town has zoned as one dwelling per acre. That's been here since the comprehensive plan was updated in 2010. If you look above Lake Benar and around it, that is Hidden Valley Road. So Hidden Valley Road and 9N is kind of encircle Lake Benar. And you can see on both sides of Hidden Valley Road, Lake Luzerne already has it zoned as one dwelling per acre. So now let's go to see the park agency. Next slide. Okay, the park agency zoning is pretty close match except in one area. Now, APA red is one dwelling per 1.3 acres. It's pretty close to the town's zoning as one dwelling per acre. And this APA red matches up pretty well. Next slide, Ian. I'm going through this pretty quick for a lot of purposes. In the red, you can see now all of that red area on both sides of 9N. On the right side of 9N, that's all 1.3. If you look at Hidden Valley Road, the red goes up and around about halfway on Hidden Valley Road on the top side. On the bottom side of Hidden Valley Road, it goes all the way. And then it extends on 9N all the way over to Hall Hill Road. Next slide, Ian. This puts the two slides next to each other. So you can see pretty clearly that the yellow or light green of the town matches up pretty closely to the red of the park agency, except for that one slot that's halfway down the north side of Hidden Valley Road down to 9N. Brent, could you point that out, please? This is the area right here that the town has is yellow or light green, and the park agency still has it zoned as one dwelling per 8.5 acres. Next slide, please. A representative from the park agency came to the town in 2019 to discuss the zoning differences, and he brought a map and suggested a change. And the change was outlined along Hidden Valley Road in 9M, and it was submitted to the town, by the town, to the park agency as proposal 2019-01. Now let's take a look at that one, Ian. And you see the area that's outlined in black there. That's what the park agency brought to us, brought to the town, and said, make a proposal back to us, back to the park agency, changing this area to red. And then you'll have red on both sides of Hidden Valley Road all the way around. And it will be more consistent. So next slide, in. If you look at that now, the black outline on the park agency is shown on the right-hand screen as how it would show up for the town, on the town's yellow, so, or light green. So you can see that it would make it more consistent for the town and the park agency to have the same zoning all the way along Hidden Valley Road and along 9N. Next slide, Ian. So the park agency received the proposal that 8052C1, that's the guidelines that they use for making changes. The follow-up meeting, this happened during the pandemic, if you remember. We couldn't do the follow-up meetings. It was just, nobody actually knew how to use Zoom back then. So the park agency asked for some more support materials, and things got kind of confusing. They didn't get them, and the park agency actually sent back the proposal without prejudice. And what that means is they said, repropose this. We're open to you reproposing it. And that's what this is all about tonight, is sending that proposal back in. So it all has to do with zoning. It has to do with aligning the zoning of the park agency with the town. Next slide, in. Why is this important? Well, if you take a look at what's been happening here in Lake Luzerne over the last few years, according to the 2020 census, the town of Lake Luzerne has lost population, about 8% of its population in the last 10 years. Fewer people are paying the higher taxes that are associated with that. Now, complicating things, if you look at the census closely, look at the average age. The average age in New York State's 38. By the way, if you looked at the average age in Lake Luzerne 20 years ago, it was about 38. Today, it's over 50. We have older people, many of them on fixed income, paying these higher taxes, complicating things even more. Next slide, in. If you take a look at the school system, this is information from the New York State Education Department. In the last 20 years, our school system has lost 44% of its enrollment. Our enrollment went down from over 1,100 to just over 600. All right, anybody's taxes go down in that same period? Mine didn't. Next slide, Ian. Now, this is an interesting slide. This is in the comprehensive plan. And what it shows is this is the first slide again, but it's got some interesting information in it. Now, the black outline is the outline of the proposal to change the zoning. If you'll take a look at that, that area has very little black in it. If you look at the top right, and it's kind of hidden by a slide up there, but the area to the top right of that is all zoned red. by the park agency. Now, the park agency has this right. They've got it right. But there's a huge amount of, in that area, there's a huge amount of wetland. And that wetland is a stream, the major stream that feeds Lake Benar. What this shows is you can have wetlands in a 1.3 density area along with property that can be developed. So you can have development and wetlands in the same area. And that's really important. Next slide. So the comprehensive plan has, for Lake Luzerne has the zoning correct. And the current use for the land is correct. So the zoning ordinance, everything about what the town has is correct. We just need to get the park agency on board to have the park agency read across the whole thing. Now, what does it take the town to do this? There's no funding required, no zoning changes. We don't have to change the comprehensive plan. We don't have to change anything in the zoning ordinance. It's just a resolution to the town asking the park agency to change the zoning. So that's where we are, and we're open to questions. Is this the when you want to go back and put the other stuff up, or do you want to leave the slides up, Gene?
Me, the other people.
Huh?
What, you got more slides?
Not right now, but I'm good for questions.
All right, so we'll open our here audience for questions while we remove this so we can get people out in Zoom world to answer questions. So anybody has some questions, we appreciate you come up to this table, get close to that mic and ask your question, and I hope they can answer them for you. State your name, please, and your
My name
address.
is Glenn Conchatori. Our house is on 41 Bridgewood Drive. And
Just stay close to that mic, because that one's a little low. It won't
You
come
got
to you, you gotta go to it.
okay, no problem.
Could you
You
say your name
mentioned-
again? I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry,
Could you
Glenn, Glenn, Conchatori, CONCIATORI. Now, you mentioned that the population is going down and that the school enrollment is going down. But you don't mention why that's happening. It could be because there are no jobs here. That could be a very good reason why people are leaving. So if younger people are leaving, what makes you think that if you build these houses, that younger people are going to move in? It seems inconsistent with what's happening in the area in general.
Is that a question?
Well, yeah.
Well, if there's no homes for them to move into, how can they move in?
Yeah.
There are no homes here.
The people that left, what happened to those houses?
The parents stayed. That's why the population is aging here. The parents stayed, the young kids go. If you'll take a look at the school statistics, that means there's no young families here. Young families have kids in school. We don't have any young families. We don't have any place for young families to move in.
Well, like I said, I mean, if they were here, so you're saying that all these houses had two families, like grandparents and then the next generation?
Well, you tell me.
I don't know.
There's aging population and there's no young families. Who's left in the houses? There's no houses, virtually no homes for sale. Across Warren County, there's virtually no homes for sale. This isn't just a local issue. This issue here in Lake Luzerne is it's actually an Adirondacks issue. If you take a look, there's a publication that came out in October of the 5 counties that are the Lake Champlain, Lake George Economic Development Council. They identify one of the primary problems up here in our area is lack of housing. They actually have a firm that's willing to invest in a company that will make affordable homes. We need to be aware that we need to do something here. We can't sit still. Sitting still means going backwards. We just proved that. People said That they didn't want change? We didn't get change. What happened? We shrunk. There's no such thing as no change.
Uh, Again, I just reiterate the point that the younger people moved out, and it could be, as you say, an issue with the Adirondacks in general, okay? And it could be that opportunity is not here for younger people to move in. So that's my statement, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Rod Johnson. I live at 63 Bay Road, down in the hamlet of Lake Luzerne. At the last meeting that I attended here, which was a public meeting, wasn't a public hearing, Mr. Reed was asked what he anticipated selling lots for in this development. His statement, if I recall correctly, was he had no idea. He's a developer, he has no idea. Well, I checked his website, and his website is advertising, we anticipate selling 2-acre lots at $150,000 per 2-acre lot. Now, I would suggest that Mr. Reed, he has his agenda, and his agenda is to make as much money as he can possibly make. God bless him. But to sit here and say that this development is going to bring young people to Lake Luzerne is ridiculous. How many young people do you know working in Lake Luzerne, living in Lake Luzerne, can afford a lot for $150,000? When the basic house, very basic 3-bedroom house today is $400,000 plus today. Unaffordable. If the town board wanted to do something about affordable living, they would be building something out here behind the senior center on the property that they own there, and they would be building something that young people could afford. To say that this development is going to bring more school children to Lake Luzerne is ridiculous. Now, one of the things I was happy to hear Mr. Reed say tonight that he didn't say at the last meeting is he's asking that the APA change the zoning for a significant portion of the 1 residence per 8.5 acre zoned area. He didn't say that at the last meeting, so I was happy to hear him say that. Now, I think at the last meeting, he said he anticipated that about 46 of his 96 acres were in the AP area. And the other 50 acres were in the APA area, town zoning area of 1 acre to 1.3 acres. Well, if his goal is to get the APA to change the zoning of that 8.5 acre area, he's looking at the potential of going from being able to build 5 houses, 5 homes in that area to being able to build 35 homes in that same area. You have to begin to wonder how much is enough. Now, his 50 acres isn't in the 8.5 acre according to him. According to his website, if he builds 2 acres per resident, he can build 25 houses. At the last meeting, he said, well, I think I can build 12. If I get the zoning change, I probably could build 17. I think that's what he said. So if you take those 50 acres, at 2 acres per residence, you can build 25 houses. If you take that same 50 acres and you apply the APA zoning to it of 1.3 acres, he can build 38 houses. So I think you have to question how much is enough. And I think you have to question what a developer's motives are. If he sold 25 acre lots at $150,000, you're talking $3.75 million just in selling the lots. So probably not polite to say it, but how much of this is for the benefit of the town, which is what people have elected you to take care of. We have elected you to take care of us, represent us. If he's able to sell a 2-acre lot up there for $150,000, he's going to have a retired policeman, a retired fireman, a retired from Long Island, New Jersey, New York City, which is what the trend has been here over the last number of years. We're becoming more and more of a retirement community, and we're becoming more and more a retirement community for people who have a certain amount of wealth. Not for people going to school, with kids going to school. Not for people working for the concrete company, or the builder, or the logger. The trailer park down here, right across from 601 Lake Avenue, next to Fish Heads. The county is paying upwards of $900 a month in rent for the people that are on public assistance that are living there. $900 a month for a trailer. I just ask you to keep in mind, you have been elected to represent us. You haven't been elected to represent a developer that wants to come in here and make as much money as he possibly can. God bless him. I have no problem with him building whatever he can build under the present zoning. There's no need to change the zoning. There's no need for spot zoning. This comprehensive plan was developed a long time ago and it took a lot of thought, and it has served us very well. I happen to be interested in the environment. And that's a special place. We've got the Double H Ranch in that area. It's a special place for them. And it needs to be kept safe, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, you have any comments on it?
Well, you know, it's interesting because the way that it stands right now, I could put about 14 homes, like 12 homes in that 96 acres if you took it in the way that the park agency has right now. So what we're trying to do is change the zoning so we can put more homes at less cost. So that would be of benefit. So if you take a look at that, what we're trying to do is make them more affordable. Now, we've reviewed this before. If we don't need any zoning change, by the way, we don't need any zoning change to put a dozen homes there. We don't need one. If that's what you want, and I don't think the town wants that. If that's what the town wants, then don't do this. My feeling is that we need to have more homes that are affordable for people to buy in here. And in order to put more affordable homes in, you have to be able to put smaller lots with more affordable homes on them. And right now we can't do that. If you get a zoning change, we can do that. So it's as simple as that.
What your definition of a affordable home was, and your statement was, I have no idea.
Well, the fact of the matter is right now, take a look at what building materials cost right now. You know, you tell me, what we were told by Paul, I think, Paul said that the cost of building materials right now are $250 or so per square foot. So that's what the cost of building is. To take a 100 square foot house, that's $250,000. I mean, you do the math. I'm not the guy that sets prices.
What is your intention to sell lots, not buildings? Okay, so you really wouldn't know what kind of house someone would put on that lot.
If we go down the path that we're in right now, we will sell lots. That's what our path is. What we're not trying to do is create a situation here where we're selling $150,000 with 30 or 40 lots. That's just not our intention. Our intention is if we're limited to a dozen lots or 10 lots, then we're going to get our money back from the property. That doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. And by the way, we wouldn't be the only people benefiting from this. That grid, we're only 40% of that grid.
Who's next? Yeah. Thank you for asking. Stay close to the mic and give us your name.
I have copies of my comments for all the board members as well. Roberta Vanderzee, Hall Hill Road. My comments are the southwest side. The southwest side of this property on Hall Hill Road, which borders 50% of the total 100 acres, is adjacent and proximate to rural lands. 8 of the 10 proximate properties on that southwest side are greater than 10 acres. That makes this plan inconsistent with the character of that neighborhood. I was going to digress, but he brought up the fact that it would be, bringing more students into the school district. It is not his or your responsibility to populate the school. Additionally, the New York State Education Department has predicted that enrollment that declined during the pandemic and actually since 2014 will continue to decline. However, if you look at the specific school enrollment numbers also on the New York State Education Department, our kindergarten enrollment is greater than it was by, I think, 12 students than it was in 2018. It did decline in 19 and 20, but it's back up above the 2018 number. Mr. Reed intends to sell his lots. I know the price he mentioned last fall at a planning board meeting, $1,000 for 2 acres. I can't imagine someone who can afford that, plus a couple hundred thousand, house on top of it, would enroll their kids in a Class C Section 2 school that also, according to the New York State Education Department, lists just more than 50% of their students as economically disadvantaged. And I'm sure Mr. Reed can figure out a way to make as much profit selling 8.5 acre lots as 1.3 acre lots. Smaller lots will create a labyrinth of roadways and driveways and be detrimental to the beauty of the area that Lake Luzerne is recognized for and is all about. At the last board meeting, a statement was made in reference to a question from the floor about the application, and the quote is, "It's not specifically for Tom Reed, it's for other properties. His property is included." Tom is the only one who stood up in front of the planning board and the town board and requested this change. The proposed change includes property of people who do not want their land reclassified. So yes, this is at his request and just for his personal gain and accomplishments. I also would like you to, I made a note here that on presentation, he mentioned that this was identified in one of the 3 areas labeled basically for development by the Comprehensive Planning Board. The current Comprehensive Planning Board has just begun to organize. So I'm assuming this is based on decisions made 10 years ago. I
I see.
also would like you to all be very, very careful about setting a very dangerous precedent. You are kind of working without a net, without benefit of a plan from the current planning committee. Data from the APA website shows that there are 11,242 acres of rural use that fall both within the town and the APA. That is 53.68% of the total acreage of those properties. You really want to open the door so that anyone else who wants to clear and develop a large piece of land can do so because you flung it open for them? And on a more personal note, I specifically moved to Luzerne because it had a small school. My daughter was 3 when we moved here, and I always loved Luzerne. I rodeoed in Luzerne. I had a lot of friends in Luzerne. I moved here and moved up on Hall Hill because it was a very quiet place. In the summer, sound carries terribly from Hidden Valley, and sometimes even I can hear the motorcycles in Lake George. Sound carries up. I can hear the kids laughing when they play at Double H. I can hear them putting on their I can't hear word for word, but I can hear the joy, and that makes me happy to hear their little voices playing at Double H. I can hear the ski run. I can hear the ski lift running. I can hear their snowmaking machine. Sound carries. The last thing I want to listen to, it's bad enough I'm going to have to listen to a cell tower being built for 6 to 8 weeks, which oddly enough benefits mostly that property. But I really don't want my peace and quiet, which I have a right to, interrupted by potentially up to 66 houses, because that was the number he threw out. What's the number of houses you could potentially build on that property? And it was 66. Imagine how the construction noise and just the noise of just general people that's going to float over me personally. It's going to be, it's going to completely break the reason I moved here. So, and as far as, young people population, I just looked up on Zillow. There are currently 16 agent listings and 5 by owner listings for sale in Lake Luzerne. My daughter graduated from Hadley, Luzerne. She married someone from Corinth. She lives in Corinth now. Almost every single one of the friends she graduated with, and she was very friendly with a lot of people, live with their families in the school district. Maybe not Luzerne, but in the school district. And they are having kids left and right. So again, I refer back to the school numbers that I quoted. And that is all I have. I have copies of my comments, except the personal note that I will give you if I can.
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Yes.
Because I want to put it on the record that this public hearing is properly noticed in the Post-Star legal notices. And I also have a written commentary from Kevin O'Brien. I'll just read this into the record. This was to Karen Putney. Thank you for the time and explanations you gave me yesterday and for forwarding to me a variety of documents related to the proposed land reclassification for acreage on Hidden Valley Road in the Lake Luzerne area of Luzerne. As I shared with you, I will not be at the scheduled public hearing, but indeed hold a deep interest in the present and future totality of community well-being for the town of Luzerne. I mentioned also that I thought it might be helpful to you to know that I hold a graduate degree in social community planning from Boston College. I read the town comprehensive plan, which was researched and compiled on behalf of the town in 2010. I found it to be an impressive, thoughtful, and a professional document. I felt the authors and contributors to the plan had keen insight and knowledge of Luzerne's virtues and challenges, and in summation, the report spoke to an unequivocal priority to preserve and protect Luzerne's natural resources, build upon Luzerne's historic uniqueness while creatively supporting economic viability. Luzerne is unique in many ways, but in other ways, not alone, as a relatively small governmental and geographic entity facing social, economic, and demographic shifting. The challenges facing Luzerne town leaders and community members set the stage for them to be the creative architects, leaders, pioneers of planning innovation for Adirondack villages and towns, and not simply to follow formulas for community viability that in the end change in a negative way the character of a community. A dismemberment of the town's native virtue and draw to meet contemporary economic issues by permitting the building more houses in a densely situated landscape is not a long view solution to economic challenges and certainly requires an irretrievable loss. As I understand the argument for land reclassification, the bottom line, basic assumption is that more houses in a currently classified rural area is better for the community. The landowner developer associated with the proposal for land reclassification uses the sentimental and emotionally powerful argument that more houses means tax relief for property owners and would feed the Hadley Luzerne school system with more students, thus keeping the school financially and educationally viable. The proponents of land reclassification have provided no hard evidence of future impact of the land reclassification change, including future student enrollment in schools and the often hidden and substantial direct and indirect soft costs to communities, economy, and governance. The suggestion of tax relief when all costs are considered is speculative at best. Again, I thought the 2010 comprehensive plan was good, but needs to be fully updated, and the measure of the town compliance and utilization of the plan needs to be evaluated. Any plan that does not undergo periodic review is likely not to be the best contemporary guide for any planning purpose. This is true across the board for any planning endeavor, not just the town of Luzerne. I have read notes compiled and used by the proposed developer of the 100 plus acres used at a recent town meeting. And it seems to me that there is nothing different in his proposal from the proposal made a year ago. That proposal was returned to the town by APA without prejudice, but included serious and definable considerations that are not inconsistent with APA mission and jurisdiction, not consistent with professional environmental opinion and sensitivities and the town comprehensive plan itself. As noted by the town and the comprehensive plan, Lake Vinar is a sub-hamlet or secondary hamlet to the town of Luzerne. But secondary or sub is not to be confused with the notion of less important. The Vinar area is a gem in the town's crown for many reasons, including the presence of Double H. Higher density development in that area would irreversibly alter to the negative that area of Lake Luzerne Township. I am not a property owner in that area, but value its contribution to the larger community. Concerns, notes, and thoughts. I don't believe I saw a traffic study associated with the land reclassification proposal, which seems like a critical deficit to the proposal. I believe you would want no additional traffic flowing toward Double H and traffic entering and exiting at the intersection of Route 9N and Hidden Valley Road is already marginally dangerous with curves and high volume of summer activity at and near the expanded rafting company. Additional traffic will be visiting Nettle Meadow as well. This is good news. Feeding the school population tax relief. Consolidation of institutions is inevitable and necessary without diminishment of service, care, or product. This is readily evident in the consolidation of hospitals, law enforcement agencies, various levels of community governance. It's also true in regionalized educational institutions. I suspect that the Hadley Luzerne School District, to some extent, is already doing a version of consolidation, regionalization, shared resources. In the relatively near future, based on enrollment statistics provided by the developer, the likelihood of a more complete consolidation with other school systems is high. The developer's speculation notion that more houses in a dense landscape will somehow protect the school district's current model and longevity is without merit and evidence. A recreated educational system in Hadley Luzerne because of enrollment decline will involve perhaps a painful process, but in the end will concretize high-level, consistent student and family-centered educational program and opportunity. Demographics, housing, and social dynamic. As noted in the town and developers' presentation to the APA, there's a rising influx of older adult retired individuals choosing to live in Lake Luzerne Township. This demographic, in my mind, can be viewed as an asset to the town, and the rise in the demographic is likely based on the natural qualities that the town has to offer. In material submitted by the developer, there is again a flawed assumption in the proposal that there exists an undesirable impairing disproportion of older versus younger people choosing to live in Luzerne. Retired people coming to the area are likely to bring a variety of benefits to the area, including but not certainly limited to personal economies that will wind up supporting the community economy through higher taxes based on housing value and dollars spent at local businesses and venues. Perhaps retired or older members of the community will not bring children to the local school system, but economic support will be generated in other ways. This will be done while preserving, protecting, and benefiting from the natural resources, beauty, and the town's commitment to quality of life and lifestyle. Adirondack style houses and housing off Hidden Valley roads situated on less dense landscapes, rural zoning, i.e. no land classification change, would be consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, the APA mission, and would be a very desirable housing option for the retired population. There will always be a demographic of retired population choosing to make Luzerne their home. What a tip of the hat to the town. Younger families are likely to choose areas to live in that meet the ever-growing social need and dynamic for ancillary services, recreational and otherwise, that constitute the social, familial, and emotional context of young family life today. With all that Luzerne offers, Luzerne would surely be a commuter community for young families. This does not strengthen the concept of community. There's a certain irony in the fact that the developer associated with this land reclassification application is an older retired individual who has a desire to and has made contributions to the town in a variety of ways. Perhaps the town, in concert with a strong commitment to the comprehensive plan, creative thought, courage, and leadership, can help with the help of the members of the older and retired community, preserve, protect, and provide for all who choose to make Lake Luzerne their summer or wintertime destination, or better yet, their home, seasonal or year-round. Sincerely, Kevin O'Brien, Howe Road.
Great. Any other questions from comments, not questions, comments from
Ellen Lyons from 21 Ridgewood Drive, right off of Hidden Valley. I'm very concerned with the traffic. Right now, when we pull into Hidden Valley, there's one of those signs that wiggles like this that says the road is dangerous. Then you drive 10 more feet and it says children at play, slow down, 20 miles an hour. We're retired. We go very slow. We're so careful. And as I walk every day, I see Mr. and Mrs. Reed walking around our lake and enjoying the beauty of our lake day in and day out. If cars are going to be speeding in because they're late to get the kid to wherever and to get to work and to get from work, how safe are we going to be? Like, what are they going to do with the sign that says the road wiggles and children at play? I don't understand how that can be the entrance. It's going to be so dangerous on our little side road. People walk, like all the people who vacation. We all walk around the lake every single day. I mean, what are we going to do with these cars coming and going, late for this, late for that? It's not going to be safe.
Thank you for your comments.
Could I,
Unless Mr. Reed, you have a-
could I just ask your first name again?
Ellen,
Okay, when the meeting is done, could you just come see me about your address, please? I got 2 letters back I had
I
sent
have a
you.
PO box.
Okay, you can
That's
come and see
fine.
me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Yes,
Come on.
can you hear me?
No, you gotta leave them off. I want to finish in here and then we'll give them time.
Mary Ellen Allison, Fall Hill Road, Lake Luzerne. There are so many things that I'd like to address. First off, Mr. Reed talked about the master plan committee and that they were going to try to align the town's goals with the APA to the town. And I thought when my husband went to the first meeting that the goal was to align the town zoning to the APA.
No, the town zoning is already right. The town zoning is correct.
And are you in charge of the town zoning?
No, it's already been put in place.
But the town zoning is more restrictive than the APA, correct?
No. The town has it zoned 1 dwelling per acre. On this proposal, the town has the zoning at 1 dwelling per acre.
That's current.
That
correct?
is current.
Right, but it hasn't been revised yet.
Why would it be revised?
The master plan has not been revised. yet.
No, this is from 210.
Exactly. And so I'm concerned that this change is being proposed just as the town is going to revise the plan, and that it's kind of being slid in under the wire before any more input can be put on that. I just worry about that. My second question, well, this is a question actually, is Mr. Reed, you said that there's no funding involved in this for the town. Is that correct?
It's just a resolution.
It's just a resolution. So when the first proposal was made, did you or did you not work with the town attorney to come up with the proposal?
Yes,
And so who paid for the town attorney's fees?
the town did.
So that was a cost to the town, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and there were special meetings about that process too, correct?
none that I know
So there was no public hearing, there was no.
of. And this
input?
doesn't require a public hearing.
Okay, that's information that I wasn't aware of. But now this is the second attempt, and this is the second special meeting. So are you going to also be using the town attorney for personal use to get the next proposal done?
I wouldn't say it's personal use, it's the town business.
But it specifically benefits you.
It benefits the town
How?
by changing the zoning to align with the town's current zoning.
Can you tell me, is there anybody else in that neighborhood that wants this besides you?
Well, I can't answer that question.
So probably no. Okay.
Why are you making the assumption no?
Oh, somebody's on the phone, sorry. I'm making that assumption because I asked
Then I'll
you,
make the assumption yes.
there are other people that want this.
I'm making the assumption. If you're making an assumption, I'm making an assumption.
Okay, we can play that game. The other question I had is, on your website, it said something about it being a gated community. Is that still the plan?
No,
No, okay. So I'll get on with my comments. At the meeting 3 weeks ago and today, Mr. Reed failed to provide any evidence that this map amendment will benefit the town. Throughout this entire process, he has continually provided misleading information. Through recent conversation with the Adirondack Park Agency, I was able to verify the following points. Number one, in his presentation today and 3 weeks ago, Mr. Reed has repeatedly stated that this map amendment proposal was suggested and even recommended by the park agency. This is absolutely not true. The Adirondack Park Agency and/or any of its agents do not make suggestions to an individual. The only suggestions that they may make are in regard to boundaries of the proposed area when a map amendment is being made. What in fact has happened was that when Mr. Reed spoke with an APA representative, Mr. Reed brought his own map. What the agent may have done is suggest an increase in the boundaries of the proposal because the agency does not support spot zoning.
Excuse me for just a second. Jean and Karen were both in the meeting with Matt Kendall from the Park Agency, who brought a map with the grid on it to that meeting.
After he already looked at your map.
No. No. No.
That's very interesting because I spoke with that person this morning and
Well,
he
fine.
said, absolutely not.
He didn't look at any map. I didn't have a map.
Let me finish. The APA does not support spot zoning, and that is what this proposal does. And by broadening the boundaries outside of your individual property, that makes it more presentable to the APA. That is not condoning this or promoting it in any way. It's just a suggestion. And I feel like you made it sound like this was originating from the APA, and it is not.
It did.
This entire proposal is solely initiated by Mr. Reed and not recommended by the Adirondack Park Agency in any way. Number two, during his presentation, Mr. Reed was asked why the proposal was denied the first time. And he answered, and I quote, "The main reason it was turned down is because the town attorney did not respond." Those are your words from the recording. In actuality, the APA asked the town to respond to the concerns that were voiced by the citizens who wrote to oppose this process, this action. The town did respond. They responded that they did not want to address the concerns. Indicated that the park agency should proceed with the proposal as it stood. They were not going to address the concerns of the people who wrote against it. The agency then made its ruling to deny without prejudice. At that same, you have to stop. At that same meeting, both of us were asked, why was it ruled that way? I looked into the reasoning behind the ruling without prejudice. What I discovered is denied without prejudice is a standard ruling with many APA cases. It should not in any way be interpreted as a favorable decision. In closing, Mr. Reed failed to provide evidence that this would benefit the town. Mr. Reed provided misleading information to the town and his neighbors. Mr. Reed purchased this property knowing it was classified as rural use. That should stand as is. The town has no reason to support or submit this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I can open it to outside. Okay, we're going to open it now to people out on Zoom. Please raise your hand and we will keep yourself muted until we call on you, so it doesn't interfere or give us static backfeed.
Jean, why don't you take a break and change the
Okay,
CD
hold
first.
on one second. We got to change the tape.
will call, but-
This is my tape, Jane.
I'm sorry.
This is my tape. I don't.
Okay. Are you ready? All right. Who is it? All right, Gina, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Gina Mincer. I live at 1275 Lake Avenue. My property is actually in the swath that Mr. Reed is proposing that gets the zoning change. And I would be absolutely for this. So yes, there is someone in the audience who is for this zoning change. Just to be clear, there is someone here in the audience that is pro Mr. Reed's proposal. The question that I have is, there was a slide where the two maps were together side by side and the black area was shown. So just so that we are clear, the area currently by the town's comprehensive plan would allow one dwelling per 1 acre, whereas the APA of that same swath would be one dwelling per 8 acres. Is that correct?
8.5.
8.5 acres,
Correct.
yes.
One dwelling per 8.5 today.
So technically my property, a dwelling that's here is on a 5 acre property. I would not be able to do anything else on my property. Is that correct?
That's correct. If the zoning was changed to 1.3, you would basically get 3 lots if you wanted to out of it.
But yet I still would have to operate under the guise of the APA versus the town's comprehensive plan.
Well, today the town says you could do, if you had 5 acres today and there was no park agency, you could divide it into 5 lots.
Mhm.
Under the park agency today, you can't subdivide because you only have 5 acres. If this proposal goes through and the park agency changes it to 1.3, you divide 5 by 1.3 and you get 3, I guess. I don't know. What is it?
Okay.
4? A little less than 4. Yeah.
I only asked that because of, if I wanted to put another shed or something that would be considered a dwelling on my property, I'd want to know that. The second piece that I did want to comment on is we've had a lot of people say, well, any property that's going to be built here would be, someone would have to have been retired and had enough money to move here. I mean, right now, the cost of living to buy a home anywhere in New York State is pretty high. It starts at about $250,000. And to buy a piece of, and yes, and now our kids that are coming out of college, their starting salaries are double to triple to what I made 30, 40 years ago when I came out of college. So, it's different, the cost of that today. I don't know that anyone in our audience has a crystal ball of the age of the person who's going to buy a home here in Lake Luzerne, why they would come here, either to raise a family or to not. A lot of people that I heard at the very first meeting were on this, they weren't year-round residents. I'm a year-round resident. I would like to see neighbors that are here year-round and who will contribute to our fire department or volunteer at the library or whatever it is in our community. Currently, there are a few people here in the audience that currently do that, and which is great, but there are many others who are here that are not year-round residents that enjoy the summers here because, they could afford to buy a second home here, which is great. And as someone who is, looking at my taxes, a relatively new homeowner in the last year and a half, I would like to see additional residents who help carry the burden of those taxes for those who are taking advantage of our schools and those other services within our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Next. Who? Goja, please unmute.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead.
okay. It was mentioned, but population goes down, and school enrollment goes down. And this is the trend in Adirondack. But this is not only trend in Adirondack. This is also a trend in New York State. And as a matter of fact, this is a trend for a whole Northeast region. Another question I have, what is the attrition of young generation versus the older generation? What are the reasons of this attrition, especially when it comes to new generation? Did Lake Luzerne in any way try to address this problem? The claim that more houses are better for community is not supported by the data trend. And this is based solely on speculations. I haven't seen any analysis, cost benefit, and force with demand and supply, which could support this type of conclusion. According to New York State economic research, the economic growth will be way below the state for the next 5-10 years. And if it's for 10 years, probably going to be more for 10 after that. And especially is way below national average. What I see is that the retired people will be the backbone of economic growth in Lake Luzerne. There's really nothing that, the new generation can actually, major of new generation can actually, stick to this area. I might be wrong, but I haven't seen any test studies like that. And another thing is, build houses. Okay, when it comes to the builder, why don't you build houses without changing the zone? If you will see that the demand for houses increases, then you can come back to apply for zone change. But at this point, I don't see any research, any data to support this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone else wants to raise their hand? Who's that? Janet, unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Janice Stanton, 11 Ridgewood Drive. I just would like to mention the same points that I had when we met 3 weeks ago, which is in looking at the analysis the APA did and the map revision you're proposing. There's a vast amount of wetlands in this area. And the major point to me is the stream that feeds directly into Lake Vannar. I'm just very concerned to see any building occurring in this area to know what would be flowing into, how would it affect our lake, in addition to any traffic and large population moving into the area. As I mentioned before, the appeal of the Adirondacks was because of the preservation of the land, the naturalness, the rural setting, and everybody's talking about, oh, it's okay to change. Well, it's okay to change in other areas, not when you pay money to go to an area that's preserved. It's not fair to put this upon us because you purchase some land and you want to make more money to build on it. It's just not supporting the majority of the people that are in this meeting that I've heard from so far. So I just wanted to put those comments on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on Zoom? Howard, please unmute yourself.
Is there a feasibility study that's either being done or that's been done that is available for review?
No.
The answer was no, if you heard him.
Okay.
Is that your only comment, sir?
It was my only question.
Okay, so the answer was no. Mike? Agreed? No? You said no,
I
right?
said no.
He said no.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Howard. Ann, unmute yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ann McCullough. I live on Ridgewood Drive, which is directly on Lake Fenar. I am definitely very concerned about the wetlands and the drainage into Lake Fenar. But besides that, I'm also concerned about the traffic on Hidden Valley Road. If you are to put the entrance into this development there. I haven't seen any studies on the traffic pattern there. I'm also, I hate to say this, but this property was bought knowing what the status of the property was. So obviously the person who bought the property knew that they had the connections to get that classification changed. And that just doesn't sit well with me at all. I can't quote what the APA is doing or what this study says and what that study says because I just don't know. But I do know that the classification was there before the property was sold. And in a very neighborly way, within minutes, no trespassing signs went up. So that's just a bad feeling.
Miss, could you possibly speak closer to the mic? We're not hearing some of what you're saying.
Oh dear, I hate talking this way to begin with.
Where's the mic? I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better. It was more towards the end of what you said that was not clear.
All right, my biggest concern is there's been no traffic studies done and that this classification was there when the property was purchased. And obviously the person doing the buying knew that they had the clout and the connections to get the classification changed. And that just doesn't sit well with me at all. I'm very concerned about the traffic and the wetlands that are up there. Before the property was purchased, well, probably 15 years ago, I used to hike up there, and in the springtime, the amount of water up there is immense. And if you are to put down pavement and housing and whatever, that water has to go someplace and will be carrying debris into our lake. And I haven't seen the studies that comment on this. I haven't seen studies commenting on traffic on Hidden Valley Road. We're all aware that Double H has traffic that comes in from the other end usually. And we try not to go by Double H when they have camp going on in respect for their property. And I just haven't seen any studies showing any respect for ours.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll come back one more time. Anybody has one last comment and if you didn't speak, we'll let you speak.
Ron Arnold, live on Hall Hill Road. Touting this as a tax saving thing for the property owners around there, it's gonna lower our taxes, these houses. In fact, it could have the exact opposite effect of that. If your taxes are based on so much per thousand of the value of your house, that's based on what a houses, similar houses are sold for. If
you put up a 2,200 square foot house there and sell it for 600,000. No, my house is worth 600,000. So it could have the exact opposite effect of lowering our taxes. This population in the schools going down, that would mean you need less teachers, less school budgets, less lunch program. School budget should be going down, which should lower our taxes. Or look into consolidating the schools with other schools. There's other ways to get around this. From what I'm hearing, most of the people here are opposed to this. There was only one person for it. And I think it should go the way we want it to go, as a no. The town shouldn't be involved in advocating for the personal benefit of a developer. He should do this on his own with the APA, not the town, or using the town's attorney to do this.
Thank you. All right, with that, I think, what's that? What's his name?
You have to ask him for a name.
Ask him to.
We need a name.
iPad 2, we need your name.
Well, he has it's a he, I'm assuming. iPad 2,
Unmute yourself.
unmute yourself, please, so we can get a name. Okay. All right. All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate all the comments. And move along and see how this goes. And appreciate everybody coming tonight. Thank you. No, we haven't discussed it at all. so.
Got a lot to digest.
Yeah.
We already closed the hearing.
I closed the hearing already. Sorry. All right. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think we'll have to most likely get letters out to everybody was informed. We'll probably have it. This will be a while. It's not going to be tomorrow or next week or a month from now, but.
Any future discussions, and certainly the voting will be at a town public meeting.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on the agenda on the website.
Right. All right. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your meeting's not.
Yes, our meeting is not closed. If anybody wants to stay, we have 5 more minutes. I have just a couple of resolutions, nothing to do with this project.
Right. I had sent you 2 letters and they both came back.
Chris, nice job.
Good job.
It worked out really well. I like
We're getting there.
Roll, let's go.
Yes, sir. All right, Cindy will read these. All right, Cindy, you want to?
Okay, so we have 3 resolutions here that we have to take care of.
Hold on.
We got
Okay.
Resolution number 70 of 2022 to reschedule the agenda meeting due to a scheduling conflict. The town board hereby reschedules.
Hold on a second. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. We're still trying to carry on a meeting. We have no problem. If you guys would like to talk, if you could do it outside, we'd appreciate it.
You know, that's not right. You know that's wrong. You know that.
It is wrong.
Well, where do
It's
you
absolutely
have information of that? Tell me.
I know, but I know about it.
You,
I've seen it before, yeah.
you're saying I'm taking a bribe.
I never know.
Are
Did
you
you
saying?
say that?
You wouldn't tell me.
Did you say that, sir?
Yeah.
All right,
You insinuated I took a bribe.
Karen,
But by the way,
Either
before
they
you
have
went,
questions for you, can you, because we have to finish this meeting.
hold on. Hey, folks, folks. I just want to say that this was an excellent meeting up until the last second. Would you pass that on to your friends and neighbors up there? So an excellent meeting, a lot of good dialogue, except for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for also coming.
Come on.
Sorry.
Okay. Resolution 70 of 2022 to reschedule an agenda meeting. Due to a scheduling conflict, the town board hereby reschedules the agenda meeting from Monday, April 25th to Friday, April 29 at 7 PM.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 71 of 2022, resolution to reschedule a workshop meeting. Due to a scheduling conflict, the town board reschedules the workshop meeting from Tuesday, April 26th to Friday, April 29th at 6 PM. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the last one. Resolution to amend number 69 of 2022, whereas where it is in the best interest of the town board to reschedule dates in which to receive and open sealed bids for a pickup truck. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board will receive sealed bids for pickup truck. Such bids must be marked sealed bid, truck with plow options. Bids will be accepted in the town clerk's office until 4 PM on Friday, April 29th. And opened at the agenda meeting Friday, April 29th at 7 PM.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Can I share one little thing? I think it'll take a minute. I'd like to appoint Patricia Goldberg to the Town Advisory Committee, the Mastermind Committee.
All right.
I'll second that.
Motion to appoint Patricia Goldberg to
The Town Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee,
Yeah, that's the committee for
We
the
had an
master
opening
plan.
there.
Master Plan. Thank you. And seconded by,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you for
Thank
doing that, Paul. The first meeting is perfect.
Okay, and the only, I'm gonna say one thing, I'm not taking long. I should have mentioned while all these people were here. Tomorrow, we're gonna see, offer some emergency services. We'll be here at 1 o'clock roughly with, ice, water, possibly blankets in case anybody needs them in town. We're still working on the, lights out.
That's at 1 o'clock.
Get home.
All right. 1 o'clock. They said it
1
was
o'clock?
gonna be roughly, but
Okay.
1 o'clock.
I make a motion. I second Paul's motion.
Okay.
To adjourn.
Adjourned.
Very adjourned.